Right now, your classmates are hunched over chemistry textbooks, memorizing formulas they'll forget by summer. You're somewhere else entirely. A secondhand laptop, a dim desk lamp, and a notification that just changed everything. You've been talking to someone who doesn't use their real name, and the number they just sent you has 6 zeros. That's not a typo. You're 17 years old, and you've just been offered more money than your parents will make in a decade. You didn't rob a bank, you didn't win the lottery. You found a flaw, a tiny, invisible crack in software that billions of people trust every single day. And now someone wants to buy it from you. Not a tech company with a thank you check and a t-shirt. Someone who operates in the space between governments, intelligence agencies, and the kind of power that never makes the news. This isn't a movie, this is your dorm room, and in the next 24 hours, you'll make a choice that most adults couldn't even comprehend. The door is open. The question is, do you step through? It started 3 weeks ago. You were bored, stuck inside on a rainy weekend, poking around in code you weren't supposed to be reading. You downloaded a fuzzing tool, the kind security researchers use to stress test software until it breaks. You pointed it at a core part of a major operating system, not expecting much. Then at 2:47 in the morning, the screen froze, not a normal crash. The software had stumbled into a 0-day, a vulnerability no one else in the world knows exists. Not the company that made the software, not the government agencies paid to find exactly this. You sat there in the silence, heart pounding. This wasn't some minor glitch. This was a skeleton key, a single line of code that could give someone total control over millions of devices, and you were the only person who knew it existed. A week later, a message appeared in your encrypted inbox. No subject line, just 2 sentences. We understand what you found. We can help you sell it safely and for a very large sum. There was no name, no company, just a digital door left ajar, waiting for you to push it open. Now the choice sits in front of you. Report the bug to the company for a small bounty and a pat on the back, or reply to that message and step into a world you've only glimpsed in headlines. Which one is it going to be? You reply just one word, interested. Within hours, a new message arrives. This one is longer, professional, almost corporate. It explains how this works, and the tone is surreal, like reading a terms of service agreement for a weapon. You'll submit a proof of concept, short demonstration showing that your exploit actually does what you claim. If it passes their technical review, they'll list it in a private auction. Exclusive buyers only. Governments, intelligence agencies, defense contractors. No names will be exchanged. No questions about who ends up with the code. Your job is to deliver the keys. Their job is to find the highest bidder. The broker takes a cut, usually 15 to 30%. The rest lands in a cryptocurrency wallet you'll set up, one that isn't linked to your real identity. They call this operational security. You read the message twice, then a third time. Nowhere does it mention the word illegal. That's the genius of it. Everything they're describing sits in a carefully constructed gray zone, a gap in international law that no one has ever closed. You aren't being recruited into a criminal enterprise. You're being onboarded into a parallel economy, one that moves billions of dollars a year through handshakes and shell companies, completely invisible to the public. So you do it, you package up the exploit, you hit send, and then you wait. 3 days pass, you check your phone between classes, during meals, at 3 a.m. when you can't sleep. Then finally, another message. The broker has secured a buyer. The number on the screen stops you cold, a figure that doesn't belong in the same sentence as dorm room or chemistry homework. 7 figures, yours. You read the breakdown. The broker's commission is already deducted. The remainder will be transferred to the wallet address you provided, split across multiple transactions to avoid drawing attention. They call it a clean exit. You watch the wallet balance tick upward, first a small test transaction, then the rest flooding in over the next few hours. Numbers you can't process, let alone spend. For a moment, you're weightless. The kid who couldn't get a credit card last month just became wealthier than everyone on your block combined. And then the feeling shifts. It's subtle, something you won't be able to articulate until much later. You think about the buyer. Who are they? What do they plan to do with the skeleton key you just handed over? The broker never asked, and you never asked the broker. That silence is part of the transaction. But now, in the dark of your room, it's getting louder. The money is real. The question you can't escape isn't. So you keep living like nothing changed. You eat noodles from a plastic bowl. You borrow a charger from your roommate because yours broke. You sit in lectures staring at the whiteboard, but your mind is somewhere else entirely. Then one morning, you're scrolling through your phone, half awake, coffee going cold on the desk. A news headline passes by, then another, something about an activist, a human rights lawyer, arrested. Her encrypted messages, the ones she trusted with her life, somehow cracked open. The report mentions commercial spyware, the kind of tool that doesn't exist without someone somewhere selling a key. You put the phone down. You don't know if it was yours, you'll never know. That's the design, but the timing lines up. The type of vulnerability lines up. And for the first time since that night in your room, you ask yourself a question that the broker never put in the contract. What did I actually sell? Not a line of code, not a key. You sold the invisible architecture of someone else's nightmare. And somewhere right now, a cell door is closing. A week later, your phone lights up. The broker, no apology, no acknowledgement of what happened in the news, just a single sentence. We have buyers looking for similar capabilities. Are you available for another engagement? The machine doesn't care, it just wants to be fed. The broker's message sits in your inbox, waiting, and you realize this wasn't a one-time transaction, it was a recruitment. What you stumbled into isn't some black market operating in a dark corner of the internet. It's a global shadow industry, layered, professional, and almost entirely unregulated. The broker who paid you, they're just one node in a vast, quiet network. Above them sit the real architects, companies with clean websites, LinkedIn profiles, and customer support teams. They call themselves vulnerability acquisition platforms or offensive security vendors. The world knows them by names like Zerodium or a Crowdfence. They look legitimate. They are legitimate. That's what makes this so difficult to see. Here's how the machine actually works. At the base, there are thousands of researchers, hobbyists, academics, teenagers like you, all discovering flaws in the software that runs the world. Above them, the brokers. They aggregate, grade, and package these discoveries. They run the auctions, manage the escrow, and take their silent cut. Above the brokers sit the buyers, intelligence agencies who want offensive tools, private spyware firms building products for governments with no oversight, and inevitably, criminal groups who obtain the same exploits through leaks, resales, or simple carelessness. The whole structure rests on a single, uncomfortable truth. Software is never perfect, and every imperfection has a price. The broker's genius is that they sit in the middle of this, the only party who sees both sides, the only party who always wins. They don't fire the weapon, they just sell the ammunition. And they've structured the entire system so that the ammunition keeps flowing, regardless of who ends up bleeding. You're not a criminal in this system, you're not a hero either. You're a node, a point of origin, and once you feed the machine, it will keep coming back because the machine is always hungry. You don't sleep that night or the night after. The broker's message is still there, unread now, but not unanswered, because ignoring it, that's an answer too. You start seeing the world differently. Every phone in every hand, every laptop in every lecture hall, they're not devices anymore. They're collections of doors, most of them locked, some of them cracked, and somewhere someone is pricing those cracks. The same way your crack was priced, you can't unsee it. You think about walking away, deleting the wallet, pretending none of this ever happened. But the money is real and so is the trail. The broker knows your handle, they know your exploit, they know you have a skill that few people on this planet possess and fewer still are willing to sell. Walking away isn't just a moral choice, it's a statement. And in this world, statements have consequences. And then there's the other voice, the quieter one. It whispers that you didn't pull the trigger, you just found the key. The people who misused it, that's on them. You were a student with a laptop and a gift. What were you supposed to do? Leave millions on the table so someone else could pick it up? That voice is persuasive. It sounds like logic. It might even be right. But it doesn't make the weight on your chest any lighter. You realize, sitting there in the dark, that the system doesn't need you to be evil. It just needs you to be willing to look the other way. To not ask the question that matters most, who else is holding the key now? The broker's message is still there, glowing softly, waiting. Maybe you reply to that message, maybe you don't. The machine doesn't particularly care. It was running long before you found that flaw in the dark, and it will keep running long after your dorm room is a memory. You were never the protagonist of this story. You were a doorway, one of thousands, and the broker, they're still standing in the threshold, waiting for the next student to push something through. Here's what nobody tells you about wealth and power. Not the loud kind, the invisible kind. It doesn't belong to the person who discovers the secret. It doesn't even belong to the person who pulls the trigger. It belongs to the person who controls the flow. The broker, the intermediary, the one who built the pipe and charges rent to everyone who pours through it. That's the real blueprint. Every hidden system works this way. Whether it's exploit brokers, patent trolls, high-frequency trading firms, or the quiet men who move art between tax havens, the fortune doesn't go to the genius or the warrior. It goes to the switchboard, the one who connects supply to demand and never gets their hands dirty. They don't need to be brilliant, they just need to be essential. And the most dangerous thing about them, you'll almost never know their name. And somewhere right now, a broker is answering a message from another board student who just made a discovery they don't fully understand. The machine is still hungry. And the scariest part, you're not sure anymore if you want to starve it or feed it again.